yourself out of some bad situations that could have you feeling like it's a life or death type situation. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to be in a life or death situation, but because the emotional awareness that you might be going through just will have it feeling that way, where you just feel like, if I don't quit this job right now, I'm just going to like die, right? That kind of a feeling, not life-threatening situations, although you never know. This is not an exact science, so I can just kind of tell you what I feel. Some of you could just be feeling extremely stuck to the point of feeling paralyzed with fear, or just not knowing what to do, what direction to go in. Typically, I would say just try to let go and sit with those feelings, and things will kind of play out, and you'll know what direction to go in once that energy shifts. Lastly, some of you will be accessing your inner realms of knowledge, and you're sharing them with other people. It could even just feel like all of a sudden you know something, right? Like you just know this information and you have no idea how you know it, but you just know that it's accurate. And so you're connecting to that cosmic consciousness where all the information lies. Let's see here. There's another level of deepening of your awareness. So you could realize where you've been haphazardly just going through life, reacting to situations, or feeling like you really have no control over your choices. You haven't been paying attention to the day-to-day choices that you make. So this week, you may start setting intentions to align with your true purpose. What did you come here to do, right? What is it that's going to make your heart sing? And many of you will be stepping onto the path of your purpose. Many of you are already on that path. You're already doing what you came here to do. You just may not realize it because you're in the building stages, and you're still growing, and you're going through the skill level. You're learning skills, right? But you are in that position. You're in the right place. And some of you are just expanding more of what you've already been doing. You're more confident in what your role is, what your purpose is, what you're here to do. And that is just going to take a next kind of level step. I feel everyone needs to be ultra alert to what's happening in and around and with you. So pay attention what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what action steps you're taking, what your motivations are. Pay attention while you're driving, walking, swimming, boating, and anything else that you may be doing. Be present in every moment, whether it's at work or at play. And too many of you just have blinders on, and you're missing out on opportunities or the truth of situations, and you're not able to practice discernment because you're not really in the present moment. You're in your head just thinking about the past, and thinking about the future, and worrying about things. And so it'll be really important for you to continue to work on being present and becoming aware of what's going on with you. I feel all of our guardian angels are going to be working overtime these next few weeks. Call on them for guidance and assistance. Invite them to help you. You are not alone. They work hard to try and guide you. Watch for signs. I'm being told to tell you it is important for you to ask them for assistance to show up in a bigger way for you. You know, they can't give you the answers, right? They can't tell you your purpose. They can't tell you who your soulmate is. They can't do those things because there's rules and there's laws in place. And these are things that you are here to learn and go through on your own, but they can nudge you in certain directions. They can help you feel more at peace. They can guide you through synchronicities to validate the path that you're taking. They do that through people in your life. They do it through music. They do it through everything and anything in the universe. The universe is constantly communicating with you and telling you exactly what you need to know and trying to guide you and teach you what is happening with you. You just have to pay attention and realize that's what's happening. This week, you could be spending a lot of time in your head, overthinking and overanalyzing, questioning, maybe going between fear state and maybe having like that epic battle within, right? Like going from your ego, mind-based thought system, which is more connected to fear, or you're in your heart and you're more in your feelings and emotions. But I feel like you just need to find that balance and, get into your heart and out of your head. Some of you could find yourselves arguing and disagreeing with people, especially those people that are close to you. Agree to disagree. You see things differently. So what? That's life. You don't always have to agree on everything. Just respect each other enough to be okay with a difference of opinion. These disagreements kind of feel connected to romantic relationships, but they also feel connected to platonic ones. So the way that kind of feels to me is there could be some disagreements over you or the other person neglecting the friendship due to maybe spending more time in a romantic relationship, or the giving and receiving is out of balance in some way between your relationship. So there could be things that pop up where you're just going to have to honor and respect what each of you feel and agree to disagree, and then figure out with a compromise of how everything can work out for everyone. Okay, even with all these intense energies, there are going to be those awesome moments too, with new things starting, whether it's a career, a new job, education, romantic relationships. There's lots and lots of positive new beginnings happening here, along with the feelings of optimism, vitality, and happiness. At minimum, you'll start feeling this way and start seeing some positive changes and forward movement in your lives, especially if you've been working hard to get yourself in a better situation. Some of you could even be receiving an increase in your finances, whether through money, gifts, or some other form of abundance. Animal spirit energy for the week is the crow, and this energy is spiritually strong, creative, and watchful. The crow has long been a symbol of magic. A crow personality is drawn to the supernatural and has a gift for seeing the unseen and knowing the unknown. It's said that the crow holds within its mind's eye the three past, present, and future. Crow energy is potent and should only be tapped into when the mind is clear. Those with crow tendencies must balance their lives with a healthy diet, joyful friends, and regular self-study. When in balance, you're more psychic, you feel strong, you've got clarity, you're clear. When you're out of balance, you feel ungrounded, you're hypersensitive to everything. To bring yourself into balance, practice daily meditation. Okay, work. For those of you that are employed, I'm feeling promotions, new projects, new responsibilities, or just some good news in general at work. And some of you could decide to leave a job for something new this week. You may be questioning or feel doubt, but I'm feeling the move is the best thing for you. On the downside with this energy, there are some of you that will just not like your job anymore, and it feels like low morale. Everyone at work is feeling this way. It's not just you. It just feels like some of you are really in like blah, like I just hate my job about your working environment, but you're in it together. And for some of you, it's just going to be a passing phase. It's just the energy, but for others, you may feel like it's time to make a change and you very well could quit your job. Work, for those of you that are looking for a job, I'm feeling pretty optimistic for new jobs if you've been looking. Some of you may not start until July, and some of you may not get a job until July, but I do feel like you're getting callbacks, you're getting interviews, you're getting opportunities. There's definitely movement happening here for you, and you'll see some real progress. Love, those of you that are in committed relationships and dating seriously, overall, things feel pretty great. Some of you may get engaged or have deeper levels of commitment, or you're reconnecting in some way if your relationship has been a little bit stagnant. Some of you may be in new relationships or dating someone new that has a lot of potential, and all you can do is focus on being with that other person. You know, you guys just cannot get enough of each other. Like, you have to spend every waking moment together. You've got to be texting, you got to be talking, you got to be just smooching on each other. So I just feel like a lot of your energy could be on this other person. Careful not to neglect time for yourself, work, and friendships. And lastly, for a few of you, some past issues may come up to the surface again. And this is your opportunity to forgive and forget and to start fresh. And if you can't, then don't expect anything different out of your relationship. Like, you've got to just get on it to resolve these things. Those of you that are single and looking, get out and mingle. Put yourself in multiple dating apps. Tell all your friends and all your coworkers that you're single and you're ready to mingle. Go have some fun. I feel something new starting for many of you this week. Lots of potential there, lots and lots of potential. Finances, money just feels more available to many of you. Some will be paying off debt, some putting money into savings, some are making some investments. Things feel balanced and fair for the most part. If you're having financial issues, I do feel for some of you there's a connection with the relationship to your job and coworkers. Change that and you may just open the flow of prosperity at the same time. Health, some of you may be dealing with some health issues. I feel is connected to how well you receive from others, how well you allow others to help you, or how well you do in asking for help. If this resonates with you and you're experiencing some physical ailments, open yourself up to asking and receiving for help. Asking for help and receiving it. So some of you will be trying new health routines as well, or making changes to your lifestyle. Some of you have recently found out you've been dealing with some health issues. You haven't really been taking care of yourself, but it's some minor stuff that you can tweak that's going to have you feeling 100% better. Spirituality. Try something new in regards to spirituality. Some of you will be working on your feelings of belonging, being more comfortable in your own skin, and your connection with the universe. Lots of heart chakras opening this week. You could experience this with heart palpitations, fluttering, heartburn, and indigestion. However, please go to the doctor if these symptoms are persistent or you aren't sure. Sometimes those things can manifest and you actually have a problem going on. Okay, that wraps up this week's intuitive messages for everyone. Let me get to tonight's caller. I have Janelle in Bannockburn, Victoria, Australia. Hi, how are you?
I'm well, and you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for asking. How can I help you tonight?
A general reading would be great, please.
Sure. So, one of the things that I'm kind of picking up on here is I feel like there's some issues surrounding maybe honesty, like whether or not you should be honest about something, or if someone is being honest with you, or maybe whether you feel like you should confront someone about something. I don't know. It's a little bit of mixed emotions, and I feel like you could just be feeling tired in general and dealing with delays. I just kind of feel like you might be stressed out.
True.
So is there any specific
and I'd like
area?
to know about maybe my abilities and spirit guides, please.
So I feel like you have a very strong intuition and your own psychic abilities, but I feel like you really question what's coming through. And I'm not able to tell you who your spirit guides are, but I do feel that they are trying to make their presence known. And I feel like you need to do a meditation where you are attempting to connect with them. And I kind of feel like you might have been trying this already, but I feel like there needs to be a consistent pattern, and you need to work on feeling them, because right now I feel like you're looking for like a name or who they are. And to me, the way they're revealing themselves to you to start with is through a feeling, right? Like an energy. So when you connect with them, there's a certain feel to it. Do you know what I'm trying to explain?
Yes, that is so true. I'm more energetic feeling than I am hearing and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, so I feel like they're really trying to project that energy onto you so you can feel them. And then as you're developing your abilities through trying to communicate with them, I feel like at that point they will reveal themselves more and more. But right now they want you to feel them. And I feel like they're trying to help you with the self-doubt, because I feel like you will get flashes of images and maybe even words that are projected into your mind, but then you kind of go, oh, is that me just making stuff up, or am I really feeling and sensing this?
True.
Yeah.
What are my abilities, please?
I'm sorry, what?
Am I an empath? And what are my abilities, please?
You are an empath.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, yes, you definitely are an empath. Now, I feel like a lot of your gifts are going to develop and blossom more as you start learning what your intuition is, because you're empathic and you have telepathic gifts as well. So that's why there's moments where you just know things, but it's, oh gosh, how am I trying to explain this? Like, it's almost elusive, right? Like it's, if you start like say you're talking to someone and you start picking up on feelings and impressions, you kind of just, it's almost like it just keeps coming out of your mouth and you don't even know where it's coming from. It's almost like you're channeling. And I feel like this is happening so that in the future you will actually be able to channel in a way that is different from kind of what I do. So like I channel, but I feel like yours is really going to be where even like your voice kind of changes, where you are really allowing this to flow through you, but you're in the skill building phase. So you really have to
It's
start.
already happening to me, like losing my voice and changing voice and things like that.
Okay, so it's already happening.
Yes.
Okay.
What can you suggest that I do to improve my abilities? Because I do believe that am I a medium at all?
Yes, I do feel like you have mediumship abilities. That's where I feel the strong connection with telepathy. So to me, mediumship is just telepathic communication with, people that no longer have a body. So I feel like you have to be unafraid to just say things. Okay, just act on what you're feeling. So for example, I feel like you've been out in public, you've walked past someone, you've had a feeling or received information, but you are afraid to maybe approach the person to get validation if what just happened is real. So
True.
I feel like you have to let go of that fear of rejection or fear that people will look at you weird. And I know what that feels like because I've been there. So,
can I ask you one also? Do I have any witch qualities about me, please?
which qualities?
Yes.
Um, I'm not really picking up on witchcraft or magic in that way. I mean, your gifts and abilities are magical. We're all magical in that sense, but I'm not feeling there could be a connection to a past life, but I don't feel like that is your role. I don't feel like you're meant to be creating spells and doing things like that this time around. I feel like it's
No, I didn't think so. No,
yeah.
I didn't think so. Also, am I able to become a counsellor in time, like a spiritual counsellor, after I do the hard work?
Absolutely. I mean, I definitely feel you could be doing readings, being a spiritual counselor, and an intuitive life coach, whatever you would want to call yourself. To me, I feel like this can happen quickly. Like you're already experiencing a lot of things. You just have to build the trust with yourself that what's happening is real. And the only way that you will be able to do that is by acting on what you feel and what you get. And I can give you an example from my own life when all of this was, when I first started coming out of the closet. One of the first instances, I passed a gentleman coming out of the restroom. I got information from his cousin as I passed him, and I contemplated the whole time whether or not I should tell this person because, you know, one, he seemed a little intimidating and I just thought he would really just shut me down. But I couldn't let go, so I went and told him. I gave him the message, and the man broke down crying and said, "Thank you so much. I was literally praying yesterday that I would get the answer to my question from my cousin." So trust that if you have that strong feeling, it's your guides pushing you to act on it. Don't be afraid. And you know what? Even if somebody were to say to you, "No, that doesn't make sense," trust that it will come to them later, okay? You just have to build up your confidence. That's all you're lacking is the confidence.
Yes, and I'd also like to say, am I helping people already?
Yes, absolutely. Just your presence and your vibration alone is helping people without you even really realizing it. But I do have to go, Janelle. Thank you so much for calling in. I hope that you have a great evening, and I wish you the best of luck. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I will catch up with you next week. Bye.
Hi, I'm Stephanie, and thanks for watching Moonstruck. And now back to A1R on the air. Psychic Talk Radio now on Moonstruck TV. Enlightening television.
Welcome to Amanda Hall Psychic here on the Gold Coast. It's an absolutely beautiful day here, I suppose, if you like cold, wet and windy, but we're not complaining. We need the rain here. So I hope you're having an absolutely awesome time wherever you are in this amazing globe of ours. It's always an interesting week astrologically, and this week's probably been no exception. But let's go on to the card of the week, because I think that's sort of a great place for us to start, because I think no matter where you are and no matter what the weather's doing and how you're feeling, I think it's always nice if we can brighten our day or brighten our week up with something positive, and I'm pleased to say this week's card is something positive. It's the Ace of Wands. Now, the Ace of Wands is new beginnings, birth, not always birth of children, but birth of ideas, new ideas and creations. And I'm really proud to talk about this card, because when we first started designing the Simply Tarot deck many, many moons ago now, this was actually the very, very first card that we designed in our original deck, which was going to be modern and up to the minute. And then the buyers hated it, so we had to go back and recreate the writer deck. But this was the very first card that we started with. And here in Australia, we have a tree called the frangipani bush, which comes from Hawaii, I believe. And it means birth and regeneration. And it's interesting because the frangipani that's actually on this card is out of my garden, in my front garden, and it's actually my hand that was the model in this card. So it's always been an extra special card to me, and it's always been a card, even long before we designed this deck, was one of my favourite tarot cards, because when I saw that, no matter how gloomy or how negative the reading might have been for me or the client, I always sort of felt that there was a ray of hope, that there was sort of like new opportunities, new things coming your way, and it was a time when we could really sort of start again. So that's why it's one of my favourite sort of cards. So this week we're going to be working with a candle called Destiny. Now, destiny is one of those words that everybody has a different interpretation of what destiny actually means to them. But in my interpretation, destiny is something that we can create. It is something that's within our control, but it's also something that's probably meant to happen in our lives no matter what. And it's sort of one of those unusual words. It's a bit like fate, karma, destiny. They're all pretty much the same sort of word. It depends on which one's your preference. But destiny is actually one of my favourite words. And I quite often think of when I was creating the Simply Tarot deck, it was my destiny to do so. And I used to use that word a lot. And I can remember sort of suggesting to the publisher, why don't we call them destiny cards? And they said, no, but we're designing a tarot deck. And I said, yeah, but these are like destiny. You know, this is what a destiny is. That these are destined to me in the marketplace and these are destined for people to love them and whatever. But anyway, they won and I didn't. They called it Simply Tarot, and I sort of still like the word destiny, and it's one of the things that I suppose that I taught a lot over my career about controlling your destiny or working with your destiny is something that we can all do. And I'm a firm believer in the power of positive thinking and being as positive as possible, even in the most negative situations. And I'm not saying I don't get negative from time to time or don't, have an off day or don't, burst into tears for some reason. What I'm saying is that 99% of my life, I've tried to put a positive spin on whatever might be happening in my lives, and more importantly, what might be happening in my clients' lives or the people that I'm working with readings, because I feel it's our responsibility to not just be the person that delivers the bad news, but the person that delivers the news and then says, but hey, there is something positive out of all this. There is something to hang on to. There is a guiding light or a shining star, or your destiny's about to change. So working with the Destiny candle, 3 things we pop on a piece of paper that we might want to draw towards us, things that you're hoping to bring into your life as being destiny in your life. My current car is nicknamed Destiny because I believe she was my destiny to pick a particular colour car and a particular make. So Destiny's one of my favourite candles. If you watch the show regularly, you'll hear me often talk about, the candles with the 2 wicks in them. I like to burn one side and one the next day, but that's entirely your choice. And it's interesting as we go into the cooler months, you can see here where the candle starts to sort of shrink away a little bit from the sides. It doesn't detract from the candle. It just means that, these are handmade. These are candles that are hand poured, and, we get little things that change in the atmosphere from time to time. So for those of you that don't want to work with a large candle, you can buy a box full of Destiny candles in our little gift box set, or you can have them made up with the 28 that we have in our range. So these ones will burn for about 15 minutes each. It's always 15 hours each, I beg your pardon. It's always a good practice to get into that never place a candle directly on the furniture. Always pop it underneath a coaster, and then that way then you protect the glass, that the container it's in, because with the changes in temperature sometimes the glass can sort of crack. Not that I've had that happen very often. I probably only haven't had it happen 22 times in 20 years. But I believed then it was the atmospheric change, and I didn't have it on a coaster, so therefore it wasn't sort of insulated. So that's why I try and teach everybody, pop it underneath a cork coaster. It just enables that little bit more stability, and you have, the glass containers do get hot. The soy wax doesn't get hot, but the container gets hot, and we wouldn't want you to scorch your wonderful furniture. For those of you that don't want to work with a flame, you can buy a melt warmer down to your local department store or supermarket. Fairly inexpensive. 2 teaspoons of wax on the first day and then half a teaspoon thereafter. And again, working with the same principle, write your list of what you want to attract to you in your life as far as your destiny, and pop it under your melt warmer. You can leave your melt warmer going all day. So these are perfect for around the home or in the office where you don't wish to babysit the flame. That's absolutely a perfect way of working with the soy wax, and this week is all about destiny. So while we're talking about destiny, I thought it was interesting this week as I sort of did the little bit of research on the male Gemini that I was going to feature in our astrology section this week. And I believe this man had an amazing destiny. And I think he brought destiny to life in sort of many magical ways on the big screen. And we're talking about the one and only Gene Wilder. Now, Gene Wilder was the consummate performer. I think he had a magic about him that he was so alluring that we were all captivated when we saw him in something on the big screen. He started out his career very, very young. He was, he was a singer, a songwriter, he was a director, he was an actor. He just enjoyed working with all the genres that were, I suppose, entertainment. But for most people, they sort of associate Gene Wilder with one particular film. But I'm going to talk about another one first off. He wrote, he directed, and he starred in The Lady in Red. Now, that's a very famous song for a few of us oldies know that song quite well, but he actually sort of wrote the film to that as well. And it was one of my favourite films. It probably wasn't the biggest box office hit that most people would have aimed for, but it's a very, very nice film. But for most of us, we probably remember, whether we were grown-ups or whether we were children, one of the most important films that I think that was ever made, and it's an amazing classic, and it's called Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. And I think most of you will remember that sort of film because it was one of those perennial favourites, and my producers just put up on the screen that Chris de Burgh sang Lady in Red, and he certainly did an amazing job of that. But I was so surprised to find that Gene Wilder actually wrote the material for that film. So, but going back to Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory, I don't think there's a grown-up or a child alive that hasn't seen that film and been taken down the magical path of the picture, where everything was bright and positive and happy, and it was sort of his destiny and everybody's destiny in the film that everything was going to be amazing, and it was just put such a positive slant on childhood. And it's one of those, I don't think we make enough sort of films like that today, where we take children on a magical journey about, that you can lose yourself in the positivity and things can be happy and sweet and nice. We're too busy filling our children's heads full of action films and robots and things like that we've lost a little bit, I think, of teaching them about imagination and being sweet and nice. But anyway, that's my little topic for the day. So moving more along with the astrology of the week this week, we always have a little glimpse around the universe. We always have a little trip around there to see what's sort of actually happening. And this week, it is actually the time of the year where we're focusing on the energy of Cancer. Now, a lot of people sort of say to me, I don't particularly like this time of the year, Amanda. I feel frumpy. I feel like I want to sit on the couch and eat chocolate and just watch movies. And it doesn't matter what part of the world you're in. Here in the Southern Hemisphere, we can excuse that a little bit because we're in the middle of winter and not all of us want to venture outside in the cold and the wet and the wind and the rain and the snow in some parts, and we use that as a little bit of an excuse to sort of stay home and sort of curl up on the couch with a good film and maybe have a chocolate or two. But the thing is, for the Northern Hemisphere, where you guys should be out and enjoying the sunshine, you wonder why all of a sudden you feel this need to spend some time at home or spend some time with yourself. And it is because of the Cancerian time of the year. It's asking us to just sort of slow down a little bit, honour our emotions and listen to what's being shared with us. And that may mean some time by yourself or some time by the water, whether that be the ocean or the creek or the river or the stream, or just sitting by a wishing well. It's a time of contemplation and allowing our mind to sort of just be and see what messages come towards us. But also this year, for the time in Cancer, we also have two other planets that are sitting in the Cancerian energy at the moment. One is Mars, the planet of action. It's holding hands or conjunct Mercury, the planet of communication. So it's an interesting time because in as much as the Cancer sun is asking us to sort of honour ourselves, to be gentle with ourselves, to sort of sit, to allow our emotions and our instincts and our intuition to sort of come to the forefront and give us the messages and share with us the information that we may need and things that we need to look at, and not necessarily a time of necessarily releasing everything, but just sort of honouring that, nurturing ourselves and sort of feeling more at home with ourselves. And then right behind that, in comes these two big, powerful, hard-hitting planets. And I'm going to use the word hard-hitting here because Mars is coming in. Mars is sort of waving his big stick and sort of saying, I want action. I want things to happen now. What are you waiting for? Why aren't you doing anything? And when he's holding hands or conjunct Mercury, then the communication can become a little bit boisterous. It can become a little bit more forthright. It can become a little bit cranky. It can be sort of, well, why aren't you paying attention to me? I want to get my message across. So it's almost like conflicting sort of energy sitting in Cancer. We've got this nice, gentle, calming sort of Cancerian energy with the sun basking on the water. It's like the sun sharing its beautiful light over the lake, and it's sort of everything's twinkly and sparkly and calm, and then all of a sudden it's like in comes this angry sort of storm behind it with the clouds coming in saying, I was here first and I need more attention. So I think we just need to be aware of that we may experience both things and they may both come together at the same time. 1 minute everything's peaceful and calm, and then out of nowhere comes this aggressive, cranky sort of communication, and you think, where'd that come from? I wasn't expecting that. I didn't set that up, I'm sure, but it's come out of nowhere. So just be aware of that. Maybe make a few allowances. If somebody's a little bit cranky, try and calm them down with some nice, comforting sort of energy. That may be the message here this week, that, that we can all take a little bit more responsibility with that. And for other people, it may just be the time when you need to slow down a little bit and give your body a little bit of a rest and, sort of say to yourself, well, it's okay, I can sit on the couch and watch a movie and I can have a little treat. And when we talk about a little treat of a little bit of chocolate, we're not talking about boxes of it or big bars of it. We're talking about a couple of pieces, not the whole thing. So I know that lots of Cancerians believe that chocolate is one of the 5 food groups, and it probably is for them because it is something that they sort of almost need daily in their diet. I'm not saying, and I'm an advocate for that, but I'm just saying it's something I've noticed over the years that they seem to be happier, little Cancerians, if they have a little bit of chocolate every day versus trying to control that urge to have that, as well as, fresh fruit and vegetables in their diet and lifestyle. So just something to be aware of that. And my producer's saying yes, because I know he's a Cancer, and coffee. Yeah, well, I can't go without the coffee. I think that goes with all signs. But, it's just something when you understand what is a natural thing for your star sign, then you learn to work with that energy instead of against it. But we're going to take our first caller, which is Ellie in Edinburgh in Scotland. Are you there, Ellie?
Hi, yeah.
How can I help you tonight, Ellie? Do you have a question I can work with, sweetie?
Yeah, I want to know if my partner loves me and wants a future with me.
Oh, okay, Ellie. I'm sorry to hear that you sort of have to ask that question, that you don't sort of, that your partner's not sort of giving you the signals that are very clear to you. It's an interesting energy I'm picking up there with your partner, Ellie. He's not what I'm going to say the most demonstrative of sort of men. He doesn't sort of, really show outward signs of affection, or he's one of these people, well, I've told you I loved you once or twice. Shouldn't that be enough? Like I've made the statement, you don't need me to keep repeating it. And that's an unfortunate thing because we, I think, as human beings like to have those words expressed, and expressed often as part of being in a loving relationship. Look, I don't feel for 1 second that he has any intentions of walking away from you and not building a future with you. I just don't think he's the sort of man that's going to keep reaffirming this with you, Ellie. I know that he's had some very deep emotional issues that he's had to come to terms with in his life, and I want to go way back to his childhood, where I don't think he came from what I would call the most loving environment. I think he came from an environment where his physical needs were met, like there was shelter, there was food, there was, that sort of, religious upbringing, those sort of things, but there wasn't a lot of love. There wasn't a lot of love shared or spoken about or cuddled or those sort of things. So we've got a man here who was never really taught what it is to share emotion, what it is to share love. So he's struggled with that all his life. And I can honestly assure you he's been more loving and more outward with you than he's ever been with any other person on the planet. So in that way, I think you should feel quite honoured that, you know, he's been able to be more outwardly loving with you than he has with anyone else. But I think it would really trouble him and hurt him to think that you don't feel loved and that you're questioning whether or not there's a future together. He would be really, really hurt if he knew that. So I think you've just got to sort of look around and be thankful for the little actions that he might show you, Ellie. You know, the little things that he might do, you know, like making you a cup of tea or something without you asking. That's him showing his love. He might not be able to walk up to you and take you in his arms and say, I absolutely love you and I'm happy I'm going to spend the rest of my life with you. That I think that's something that he thinks about a lot, but he's not able to put it into words and expression. So I hope that's helped you, Ellie.
Yeah, it has. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome, because he really, truly does love you, and he's such a deep thinking man, and there's times there where I see sort of quite a frown on his face and you wonder where he's going. And I think a lot of times that's him sort of questioning, you know, am I good enough for Ellie? Do I give her everything that she needs? You know, it's sort of like he's searching his soul to make sure that he's meeting his obligations and showing you his love in the only way that he knows how. But he would be devastated if he thought you believed that he wasn't going to be around forever.
Yeah,
he really would be.
It just upsets me because he's back in touch with his mum. She never brought him up or anything like that. But he's all for her, and like on her birthday he bought her a present and stuff like that, whereas when it comes to me he doesn't.
Yeah, but I suppose he doesn't feel that he needs to with you. He sort of feels he's given you all of himself, so you know that's present enough. I mean, I can understand you being a little bit upset by that, but please, Ellie, understand that he truly, truly does love you and you are the only woman for him.
Right. He's going to stay with his mum for a week. I'm just a bit insecure. Is he coming back? He's going on Thursday. And maybe a week, maybe just under.
No, he will be coming back, Ellie. You know, I mean, he's spending time with his mum. Who knows how long she's going to be on earth with us. So I suppose he feels that that's important. Anyway, Ellie, we have to leave it there, sweetie. I wish you every success with your relationship, and I know it will be perfectly fine. We're going to talk to Marlene in Los Angeles now in California. Are you there, Marlene?
Yes, I am.
How can I help you tonight, sweetie?
Oh, just I wanted to see if you see anything in the future as far as love or, career.
Okay. All right, Marlene. The first thing that they're showing me or sharing with me is that 2019 has been a year of change for you and endings. It's like I've really had to clear a lot of things out of my life. Is that how you've sort of been feeling? As if, you know, I've cleared a lot of things out, I've let go of things, but now there's sort of like this emptiness there. I haven't had anything to replace it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good, because that means now that we've made way for new things to come into your life, particularly love. And it's interesting because they're showing me here someone from your past coming back to cross your path again, a man with dark hair. I couldn't see his face, so I can't really describe that to you, but I know it's somebody from your past. And I don't know that there was ever really a relationship there as such. I think there was definitely an attraction there between the two of you. But I feel that there wasn't the opportunity then, because one or both of you were in a relationship, to explore where that could have gone. Now, I see him crossing your path again in August. Now, I'm not necessarily going to say this is going to be the next new relationship for you. I'm just going to say to you, this needs to come back. We need to look at it. And you might take one look at him and think, oh, yuck, what did I ever see in you? And just look at that as a marker in time, because directly behind that, I do actually feel you're going to meet somebody that's going to come in that will be the new love of your life. And it's like we've almost got to clear this one out of the road too, because he's come back into your mind as, you know, I wonder what could have happened there if things had been different. And that's all it is. It's like a flick of a switch. It's sort of like I look at it, no thank you, goodbye, move on, next. And the next one that comes in, I feel, will be clear and free of title. There's no baggage. There's no current relationship there that he's just walked out of. He's ready to sort of go into a serious relationship if he meets the right person, which is you, which is great. And I feel very comfortable with that. And I feel that relationship will be very strong and very right from the very beginning. And it will grow very, very quickly into a very serious, committed relationship. The next thing that they're sort of showing me is that, yes, you mentioned about your career. Is it sort of, is there new possibilities or new opportunities there? There will be, but I'm not sure that it's going to be this year, Marlene. I know that you're sort of looking around, and I think that you're sort of preparing and, to sort of make a change, but I just don't know that anything crosses your path that is really what you're looking for to make that change just yet. I'm not saying don't look. I'm just saying I'm just not sure that there's something there just at the moment. If there is something, it'll be more towards the end of this year or the early part of next year. It doesn't seem to be right on the threshold at the moment. There's no point in making a change from one situation to another and then being in exactly the same situation in 3 months' time and thinking, well, that was a waste of time. All I've done is change the window dressing. You need something more that you can get your teeth into. But I did sort of feel that your intuition was getting much stronger, Marlene. So whatever you're doing there to strengthen your intuition, I want you to keep going, or your psychic ability, because it is certainly working and you are listening to what's being shared with you from your guides. And it's like that's the part that I think we need to focus on, is really sort of taking notice of the signs, the symbols, the messages, or whatever it is, whichever way it's being shown to you, whether it's sort of like something that you think of and then the next thing you see it on a street sign or on a billboard and you think, wow, okay, I just thought of that half an hour ago. That's a sign. It could be coming in a dream form. I think it's coming in many forms with you, Marlene. It's not just one area. It's like sort of showing you that messages can come from all different directions, and they want you to sort of be aware of that, because you are very highly tuned and there's more messages to be shared with you. But I just know your life is about to take off in an almighty big way, in a way that you couldn't imagine. So maybe it's probably best if we have the relationship come towards you first, get that nicely settled, and then you'll be ready to move into the new job. I hope that's helped you, Marlene.
Oh, that helped a lot, especially the psychic abilities I have. I dream a lot, and then I get numbers all the time, and just a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And so, do you know why it's like all this? Like getting, my abilities are getting more attuned.
Because you've made a conscious decision that you're going to listen more, that you're more aware to it, that you're not sort of fighting it anymore, and that's a good thing, and because you're going with the flow, so to speak, then you're starting to notice it more. And it's like anything, the more we practice it, the stronger it becomes. So if you're seeing numbers and that's what you're drawn to, then maybe you need to look at sort of taking up the study of numerology or astrology or something along those lines that will enhance that will enable that to become even stronger. But only go to what you're drawn to, Marlene. Don't force yourself into something just because that's what I've suggested. Unless that really feels right, don't go that way. But I suggested that because you said of the numbers and things like that are coming to you very strongly. And with dreams, try and write them down. Write down how you felt, whether there was anything peculiar or unusual in the dream, and in a journal. And then you can go back and look at it in a few months' time and know that you've had answers there. Anyway, Marlene, that's where we've got to leave it because we're about to come to the end of the show.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you.
You're very welcome, sweetie. I'd like to take this opportunity to wish everybody an amazing week. Whatever you're doing around this amazing planet of ours, make sure that you're kind to yourself, kind to other people, but don't forget to take the time to nurture yourself a little bit, maybe with a good film or some Netflix or something like that, and a little bit of chocky or a glass of wine, a cup of coffee on the couch. Won't do any of us any harm to have that little bit of a holiday on the couch watching a great film. Until next week, bye for now.
be Tonya Reeves, Australia's psychic cowgirl, coming at you. It's afternoon here in Australia, but I think it's evening for most of those in America and Canada. So I believe, anyway. So, yeah, I hope you've had a good week. It's been pretty frantic here, actually. We've had a few different things on, and it's just, how can I put it? It's just been crazy. I look back and I think, I don't know what I've done, but yeah, anyway. So I was chatting to another friend and he was saying the same. So I went, yeah, it must be just something that's happening at the moment. Now, today I will share some insights in a lot, I suppose, messages that I've had that have been consistent throughout the readings that I've done over the last week and a bit. And that's been, for a lot of people, it's almost like we've got to the middle of the year. We started off at a pace and we're kind of feeling over the last, 4 to 8 weeks, a little bit stuck or a bit like, hang on a minute, I need to regroup. Where am I at? And I just feel like I relate to that energetically. It's a little bit like we've been pulled back to take a breath and consolidate what it is that we want to bring into our lives over the next 6 months. I feel like, the energy is vamping up again, so we'll be able to really step into things. And I just feel energetically like for those that are honouring the space of being pulled back, and just taking a breath and allowing the messages and the signs to come in. And for most people, they do. Pretty much everyone, you get the signs. We just need to take a moment to observe. And, often we tend to forget that because we're busy with life and we're very much like, I'm busy doing. So sometimes we need to just go back to being. So I just wanted to share that because I think it's something that we can all be reminded of. And, it's a part of life. Things are transient, so nothing ever stays the same. But know that if you're being pulled back or you're feeling a little bit held back at this point in time, I feel it's to prepare you for this next half of the year. And there is going to be a lot of picking up the pace, and for a lot of people, being in alignment with doing what they want to do and feeling like they're making progress. So if you're feeling a bit like you're just parked up is pretty much the feeling. Over here it's winter, so it's not so bad to be parked up because it's quite cold and, it's nice to enjoy that downtime of the year, which I always find winter is a bit, and that gives us that breather ready, getting ready to hit for us into spring. I think the seasons often replica where our energy flows for that time. And, of course, that's not for everyone, but, yeah. So I've found through sitting back and just allowing things to fall into place, I've been making some new connections. I've found that, I'm getting signs, and then, within the week I'll get a sign from Spirit, and then all of a sudden someone will make contact, or I'll have a sign that, that was what they were just showing me. So that's been really cool. And I really think that's something that we can all do when we're taking that breath, or we feel like we're not moving forward as fast as what we maybe had planned, or, we're just feeling a bit flat maybe because the energy is lower, that we just need to then go, okay, let's look for the signs. Let's take that time to just look for the signs and see where it is that, the next step of our journey is. Because sometimes it can be a bit different to what we play out in our head. And I enjoy that side of it because I like to be kept on my toes. I like change, and, I like to have a challenge. So to me, if everything was the same, I would be bored. I would be so bored. I would be like, I'd have to create something just to throw things out there and be different. So, yeah. So, and I think, ultimately the biggest lesson in life is getting used to change, because as we know, it is the one constant in life. And, when you're changing, you're evolving. And I often say when one door closes, it's to make room for something else. And as much as sometimes that can be really hard and unsettling for a lot of people, with this transient stage, I'm finding a lot of people are almost being a little bit redirected. So it's a little bit uncomfortable. And, go back to the old saying, nothing within your comfort zone produces the biggest amount of gold. So sometimes we have to be shaken up a little bit, taken outside our comfort zone and, shown something different. So bear that in mind. If you're going through struggle at the moment, we're feeling a bit stuck, I just feel that's a constant message that I've been sharing over the last week and a bit. So I thought I would share it today because we can all do with reminders, me included. Often when I do a reading and I'll get a little nudge from Spirit to say I need to take note of what I'm connecting, the message that I'm giving somebody else, I can also take away as well. So that can also be with us. If you're giving someone advice or helping somebody out or you're sharing wisdom, and you're feeling a bit like, I've just got that little bit of a realization that's the same as my situation, then know that will be the case. And, that's just how it is. So, yeah, go with the flow. It's like, go with the flow, chill out, inner peace. I think inner peace is the best place to be or be able to access when we need. So just remember that. All right. Now, let's see. I've got my first caller, Anshul in Toronto, Canada. Yay. Love Canada.
Hi, Tanya. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Very good.
Awesome. We often get likened to Canadians over here in Australia because apparently you guys are laid back as well.
Yes.
So I can't wait to get over there.
No, you
awesome.
should get here. It's very good weather now. It's like summers, and I know Australia is getting into the winters now.
Oh yes, we're very cold. We're very cold at the moment. So I'm like, I would love that. It's definitely on my radar to visit. Definitely. So pretty over there too. So anyway, seeing as I'm limited to time, I'll get straight into some info for you. Did you have something you wanted me to focus on Charlotte, or just
Yes.
Yep.
It's I think a general I wanted a general reading because my every area of life has issues, so I don't know what specific thing I can ask.
Okay, all right, so we'll focus on the overall. First of all, I've got a male stepping in spirit. Is your father in spirit? Because I just want to go to, I've got a man stepping in who's your protector.
I'm sorry?
I've got a male stepping in for you who's like your protector. He feels father-like.
Yeah, my father passed away 20 years back.
Yeah. Wow, okay, because I just feel like he's a little bit like your guardian. So in stepping forward, it's almost like I want to go to, he's got your back, so he's bringing in the information for me. There has been a big shift for you. In particular, I want to go to something around the relationship. It's almost like you've been shown something for a reason. So has there been something that's transpired that has almost made you have to stop and rethink where you're at right at this point in time?
Yes, I actually got married last year, but my husband is still not here. He's trying to get here to Canada. He's in a different country. We had a long-distance relationship.
Oh, wow.
And then we got married.
Yep.
But we've had some issues, yes.
Yeah, so that's to do with the paperwork. So is there something missing in the paperwork? Is that what they're telling you? There's something that's not complete that needs to be part of this process with getting him to you?
No, paperwork is complete. We are just waiting for the last step now. Everything else has been done. We are just waiting for the decision now.
Okay, yeah. I don't feel like it's a no, so I feel like the decision's around there, but I just felt like there was something that wasn't quite ticked off yet. It's kind of like what I was being shown, but I think
we had more. Me and my husband had issues. It's long distance. It's already difficult, but it's just difficult. We've had some fights, some issues.
Yeah. It's disheartening, so it's a little bit like I feel like he feels a bit worn down with it. And, when we get disheartened, it then tends to make everything look a bit not as ideal as it once did. But I feel like things will change once he comes over, and it's almost like things will fall into